This is Colorful Radio. Our music, our news, our views.
Okay, so that was George Benson, Love Ballad. So I'm now joined by Nii Odartei Evans, the founder of Ment2Excel Digital, an online presence that delivers inspirational, motivational, aspirational and funny entertainment, which he does alongside his close friends Ricky Hayward-Williams and Melvin Adoom. He's also the creator of the Fatherhood, a web series charting the ups and downs of four men's relationships with their children. Nii, how are you feeling today?
Fine, thank you very much. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, you're welcome. I'm glad that you could be here, and I'm very mindful that it's Father's Day, and I'm taking you away from your children.
No, it's all right. It was business as usual in my house this morning. So my wife was working, so we were up early anyway, and get the kids ready, drop my wife to work, drop the kids to Grands, came down here. So then after I'm finished, then my day can begin and we'll go and get them and whatnot have you. So it's cool. Wow,
that sounds like a military planned precision.
It is, and it's hard. And to be honest with you, we still haven't nailed it down, but we're getting there. Like every morning, like it's just like I get my weekends and I think it's a weekend great, but then it's not because it's still all go again.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's the life we choose.
Aww. So today is Appreciation Sunday. Mm-hmm. I do this every Sunday. And today is Father's Day. So all of my Appreciation Sundays reflections are focused on fathers. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to know, what do you appreciate about your father? And what do you appreciate about being a father?
Okay. What do I appreciate about my father? My father, he passed away like 13 years ago now. And I think definitely in the 13 years that he's been gone, I have life lessons that make me appreciate him more and more. And I think one of the things that stands out is that I appreciate that when I was younger, when me and my brother and my sister were younger, there was the strict, not so much my sister because she was the baby, so she was the spoilt one, daddy's little girl. But definitely when me and my brother were younger, we had the kind of archetypal strict African parent. And, you know, growing up, it was tough because you want to go there and dad won't let you and this, that and the other and whatnot have you. But at the same time, he did mix it up with being a fun dad as well. And I think definitely growing up and becoming a father, I can look back and be like, yeah, he had it. He knew what he was doing. So I appreciate that. I appreciate it. It's getting the balance. And I think he had the balance right.
Do you ever have the balance? Can you ever maintain or attain the balance?
I don't know. I guess for me, I'm in my early stages. So a lot of the time people ask me questions about fatherhood and stuff. And I'm just like, I'm just beginning. Like I'm at the start. And I think sometimes you literally wake up and, you know, you take the day as it comes. Sometimes you have a plan and you're like, right, boom, 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 we're going to do this, that and that. But I mean, ultimately, I think the thing for me is at the end of the day, if I can look back on the day and say, you know what, today didn't go the way I planned, but this is what I learned, then that's fine. I'm cool with that.
Oh, that's brilliant. So you reflect. You reflect as you go along.
Definitely. I think it's a quality that I probably picked up from my wife. A while ago, she started this thing called 100 Days of Gratitude. And I think definitely I'm more the guy that's just kind of like, oh man, we need to do this and we need to do that. And Where my wife is definitely more kind of like, you know, let's live in the now, live in the present and be thankful for that. And so then she started to get me to do it as well. So I started doing 100 Days of Gratitude. And I can honestly say it's made a difference because I definitely just stop and think, you know what, this hasn't gone to plan, but it's cool because there's another option, there's another way. And so, yeah, definitely. I think it's really important. And doing it, I think I'm on like day 54 at the moment.
Oh, wow, brilliant. And
doing it, definitely looking back, I can see the difference. And you just, you know, you wake up in a better space. So it's really important.
Oh, I'm actually glad that you shared that acknowledgement because as I said, we do Appreciation Sunday every Sunday on Colourful Radio. And my aim literally is to do this every single Sunday so it becomes a habit. So regardless of whether people listen to my show or not, they know it's Sunday. That means Appreciation Sunday. Okay, let me reflect on where I'm at. So really thank you for actually sharing that.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's definitely become a habit for me. And it's like if I get caught up and I miss a few days, I'm just like, no, I need to sit down and it's therapy for me. You know, I sit down and I put it out there, and a lot of times people are like, I can't even believe you just put that out there. But you know, it's happened, it's in my life and I want to share it, so I'm sharing it.
Brilliant. So you now have 2 children. However, when you had your first child, did you feel prepared enough? And I ask, as a lot of focus is on a mother's, as she's a childbearer. So from a father's perspective, did you feel you had the resources to enable you to feel prepared enough?
No.
Okay, nice and simple.
No, next question. No, no, I didn't. And this is something that I've spoken about with lots of people. One of the conversations that stands out in my mind is a conversation that I had with my brother, and when he was about to become a dad, and he went on one of these visits with his wife, and they went, and the midwife was there, and they're sitting there, and the midwife is like direct eye contact with his partner, and like throughout the whole session, like he was not acknowledged.
Wow.
And he came out and he was just like, I was so livid, and I was just like, yeah, no, I get the same thing, and I'm sure a lot of other dads will get that. And you go, and during this process, it's like you're a bit of a spare part sort of thing, just like acknowledge you're there at the beginning, acknowledge you're there at the end, and it's just like there isn't, obviously everything is centered around the woman, and that's fine. But yeah, I'm in this too. I'm here and I'm involved, and I want to know what I can do and how I can be a good dad and how I can be better. But there isn't that. And so early on, kind of realizing that was where I started to have the idea for the fatherhood. And because I was literally like I was really excited. I was just like, I'm gonna be a dad. And so anybody that I would speak to, I would have this conversation, and I was having these brilliant conversations and getting these kind of nuggets of wisdom from different people. And initially the idea was to do a documentary and then just kind of have all of these people there. And one thing went on, and kind of life gets in the way, and this, that, and the other, and it never happened. And then ultimately my firstborn, he came 2 months early. He was 2 months premature. And so then everything got shelved, and then it really was like, I'm not prepared for this. So I felt like I wasn't prepared anyway, but then I definitely wasn't prepared for a son that was 2 months premature, having to be in the neonatal intensive care unit, seeing them, prod him with injections and stuff like that, and being in an incubator and all these sorts of things. And, and definitely, so even with that experience, there's even less people to talk to. And so after we kind of came through that, and then, I felt like I had a moment's breather again. I was just like, you know what, I really need to revisit this and do this again. And I wasn't sure whether I wanted to do it as a documentary or a web series. And then I decided I'd do it as a web series, and then I decided I'm going to do both. And so I think sometimes that's my problem. I just can't nail things down. But I said, look, let's do it. If we're going to do it, let's just do it.
But it is quite a wide project though. So
definitely
it probably would have grown initially from what you thought it would have been.
Yeah.
Hence now a web series.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was never going to be one small thing, and it was always going to branch out. And I accepted that. In the beginning, it was taking time to be like, right, we're going to start this way and go there and sort of thing. So, but it's cool because it's all kind of coming together now and under the Ment2Excel Digital umbrella, and so I'm really happy about it.
Brilliant. Boys who turn into men from very early on are told, not to cry, not to show your emotion, to man up. And by looking at your Facebook and just hearing you speak, you are a person who's very much in touch with their emotions. So, and I've always wanted to hear this, but I would like to hear from a man's perspective, your thoughts and your feelings the first time you saw your son. Is that a really hard question? Sorry. Sorry.
It's an amazingly hard question. As I said previously, he came early, and so emotions were heightened anyway. And then it was actually quite a quick delivery, and literally the midwife had her back turned. My wife was pushing, and then by the time the midwife turned around, he was there, and I just looked at him, and I think literally I was just like, I don't know, like, wow, like I really don't think I'd be able to in my lifetime express that feeling. And then even second time around, you think like, I know what's going to happen now. And again, it's just that there was probably like a look of just dumbfoundedness on my face, just like, we did this. This is our child. We made this child, and he's here. We got to see him, and he was in the incubator, and I would just look at him. And then, but he was in this incubator, and you were allowed to kind of take him out and stuff like that. But I didn't want anybody to take him out. Just leave him, just leave him. And then every now and again, I'd open the incubator door, and I'd just kind of stroke him, because he was like 4 pounds when he was born. And wow. I would just kind of stroke his arm or something like that, and then close the door again, and I just wanted him to be there and just grow, and so we could just take him home sort of thing. But yeah, no, I can't. Even now, like I get in from work and I've got this 2-year-old that is just pushing all of my buttons at the moment. But I get in and it's just like, daddy, daddy, daddy. And you can't describe it. You can't measure it. I
guess it's one of those personal experiences that people just find out when they're ready to find out.
You know,
it's going to be different for everyone, isn't it?
Totally. I mean, I could say that it's this and it's that and it's this, but when you are in that position and your child is there in front of you, I can't give you those words. Nobody else can give you those words. Nobody else can tell you those feelings. You're going to experience that for yourself.
I haven't been blessed with kids yet. And I think regardless of whether you're a mother or a father, it's still going to be overwhelming, even though the mother is very aware that a baby is coming because it's inside of her. You see it from an external perspective because you're looking from outside in, where she's got it inside out. Yeah. So it's, you can't even compare. But overall, I think it's going to be crazy. And that's the wrong word to use, but it's anyone I could find, a crazy experience.
It is. I mean, even now, sometimes me and my wife will sit there in the living room and we'll look at the both of them and we'll just be like, we've got 2 kids. And it's just surreal. But it's funny because you realize as well as humans how resilient you can be, because even like despite whatever adversities that may be happening during, even with my second one, my wife went into hospital ill beforehand. So she was in the hospital for a couple of weeks ill. Turned out to be gallbladders and it was all really painful. And then eventually he did come and then to do an emergency C-section because the cord was around his... It's all, So when I think back, I just think, wow, that was a lot. But when you're there in the moment, you just realize how resilient you are as a human, because you just get up, you turn up, you're there, and you do whatever it is that you need to do.
It's probably better to be that way, actually, because when you're working just in the present, you're just dealing with the information and what's going on, like minute to minute or second to second, as opposed to maybe thinking too far ahead, because that's when the worry sets in, and then it becomes something else.
I think for me, what I remember doing was like, when they were like, okay, we're going to do an emergency C-section, there was that initial panic, and then I just took my mind for a second to afterwards, and I said, look, soon you'll be sitting down with your second son and everything will be cool, but you just got to get through this. And then kind of back in the room, and then you do whatever it is that they're telling you to do. They're chucking these clothes at you, say, put this on, and then wheeling your wife out down the corridor, and it just, it just all happens so really quickly, and you're just kind of there like...
feeling helpless.
Yeah, what can I do? And I remember it was the anaesthetician. He was just like, Dad, your job is here by Mum and sing to her. Aww. And I was just like, okay. And then again...
How's your singing voice? I don't think she really cared actually at that
point.
She
didn't really care, but I sang anyway. I sang my heart out. And and then eventually they... like the Lion King, Simba. And then my second son appeared, and so it was
beautiful moments. So on Twitter you describe yourself as a husband, father, actor, writer, producer, opportunist. Your role as a husband and father come first. So what does being a husband and father look like from your perspective?
Being present. Everything that I'm doing at the moment is all a part of a thing to just kind of change my lifestyle in the sense that I can just be present. I think one of the most important things you can do for your children is spend time with them. And so everything that I'm doing at the moment is kind of changing my life so that I can spend time. I can be there for my wife and I can be there for my children. And that's one of the most important things for me. I'm like, there are so many things kind of career-wise and what have you that I want to achieve. But fundamentally, if I'm not a good husband, if I'm not a good father, then all of those kind of things kind of pale into insignificance for me. So it's just like, that's my grounding. Like, so when I go out and I do whatever I do during the day and I come home, it's like the other day, I think I said, it's like they're my refuel, so I get in and whatever I've just been dealing with throughout the day, just whatever, and then you refuel on your wife, you refuel with your kids, and you just feel eternally blessed for what you have.
Brilliant. Explain to me what the fatherhood is.
Okay, so as I was saying before, I had this idea and it kind of grew on her. So eventually I got to the idea of doing the Fatherhood, which was a web series. And it's centered around the lives of 4 guys they're all at different stages of their life. And I wanted to look at their relationships with each other, the relationships with their fathers, their partners, and also with their offspring. So For example, you've got Isaac, which is one of the central characters played by myself, and he's in a relationship. He's married and has a young son, but also has a son from a previous marriage. And there's a kind of situation there that, looking at the dynamics of his relationship with his son from his previous relationship. We have another character called Io, and Io and his partner, they're trying for a baby, and they're finding it difficult. And this is something that a lot of times people don't talk about these things. Like a lot of people think, like when I get to like so-and-so, I'm going to have a baby, and it's actually not that straightforward for a lot of people. And so I wanted to touch on that as well. And then there's another character called Jamal, and Jamal's, I'm trying to say a little bit, but not to give too much away. But again, Jamal's in a relationship, he's in a good relationship, and he's the one that wants to, kind of move it to the next level. But he's having kind of, he's fighting a battle against his missus. And then there's also Michael, who's the kind of archetypal, man about town, and kind of gets quote unquote caught out with a young lady, and now has to look at the ramifications of bringing up a child with someone that you don't actually really know. So what I wanted to do was so initially, like I said, when I had the idea, it was about kind of having this conversation with men, but then also kind of just portraying positive images of men being fathers. But then as I began to write, obviously you need to kind of write the drama in there, and I needed the characters more than anything. I needed them to be real. And it's, and in real life, things don't go it's not the Cosby Show. It's not the Cosby Show in real life.
Yeah.
So it was important to kind of write that drama in and have that drama in there. And then what I thought was really important for me was then to, over subsequent series, just kind of see how these four guys, who are essentially at their core are good men, but maybe have made some bad decisions, but see how they kind of work themselves out from those decisions. And I think that was really important for me, because to me, that's kind of like, that's how it is in real life. Nobody's perfect, but ultimately, if you're driven by love and you apply logic to that, you will end up in a good place. And I think that's what the journey is going to be for these guys.
It sounds really, really interesting and very needed. And it also sounds like a polar opposite to the BBC drama Baby Fathers.
I watched Baby Fathers when it came out, and I'll be completely honest, is that I was going to rewatch it because I couldn't remember the whole storyline. And then in the end, I decided I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it. Right? And I'm going to tell my story.
Brilliant.
And if there's some crossover, then whatever. If there's not, then whatever. But ultimately, for me, I felt like I have a story to tell, and I want to tell that story. And I think that there are going to be a lot of people out there that want to listen to it and are going to resonate with that story.
Would you say your story is an alternative story as opposed to what the current story actually is at the moment, which is it tends to be quite negative?
I think definitely. I think, there are lots of stories out there that are quite similar. And I'm not going to kind of get bogged down in all of that debate, because I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't appreciate programs like Top Boy and what have you. I do. And I think every story is important. So, I do. Honestly, I think every story, if that's your story, who am I to say, the issue that I have, like Lisa looks like she wants to...
I'm so biting my tongue.
I think my thing is this, if that's your story,
yes,
then you tell your story. The issue that I have is the stories that are being presented time after time after time. So there's only so many times that I can listen to that type of story, and there needs to be a range of stories.
That's
but
my point.
Individually on its own, if that's your story, that's your story.
Well, Top Boy wasn't his story.
How do you mean?
Because the writer was... Anyway, I don't want to talk this, but that wasn't his story.
Okay, I hear you.
That was a story that, he came over, I think, from Ireland, and he was in a Hackney estate, and he decided to write Top Boy based upon what he, I guess, was seeing, and the story that has already been told. So it wasn't actually his story.
No,
and I think, and this is why I get passionate, but I will stop in a minute. I think the problem is that we don't actually tell our stories. We don't actually tell our stories, and it's not entirely our fault, but we don't. And at the moment, youngers, to me, is so important, because we are actually telling our story, and you feel the difference in that. That is a whole different feel. It's authentic.
I'm like a massive fan of youngers, and I watched the full first series. But this series, like, I've been kind of dipping in and out. So in the end, I had to tell myself, I'm not watching it, and I'll wait till it finishes, and then just watch everything back to back, sort of thing. But I've like Levi and Benjamin,
brilliant.
I just think they're brilliant writers. I think to me, I'm like, yeah, that's brilliant, and I see the difference, and I see the point.
And it
that you're
feels
making.
different.
Yeah,
it feels
definitely.
so different. And I just think we do have a responsibility. I mean, many people disagree with me because they'll say, you know, it's art. You know, art, whether it's art imitating life or vice versa, it is still an art form. But I think, no, if we are having massive gun problems, crime problems, stabbing problems, the last thing we want to do is have a drama that portrays that and has a bus advertising it going through Peckham.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's
No.
not okay, because where's the responsibility?
I feel like the way that I feel about all of that kind of stuff is what you focus on multiplies. And so again, my solution, if you like, to that is this is what I'm focusing on.
Brilliant. I just got all passionate there. Sorry. you just pulled that side out of me. I don't think anyone who's been listening to the station has heard this side yet.
I
but
thought
it's
I was
there.
in trouble there for a minute. The way your face switched,
No,
I'm like, oh gosh,
I'm
I better
sorry.
leave now.
No,
It's cool.
because you are entitled to your opinion. But I just have to just put that bit in there, because, you know, we do need to tell our stories. And that's why I think what you're doing is absolutely so fabulous.
Thank you very much.
And I look forward to seeing how these characters develop.